We back, we live. It's the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Rum Shot Diaries, Cuss Out Sessions. I'm Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, and we're back again, going through another particular issue that's live on the forums that people are debating, where it's Tuesday today. We're 2 days out from West Indies versus Pakistan, the first test starting at Sabina Park in Jamaica. But I'm back to record a cuss out. As you can see, I've got my maroon do-rag on. New look today. It's not the maroon hat. It's the maroon do-rag today. But let's get straight into it. What's the issue today? What's the thing that's been online? What's the thing that's been causing the biggest consternation? And this particular cuss out session is all about Veerasammy Permaul. I'm going to just pluck a figure out the sky. Speak to 99.9% of Guyanese cricket fans. And if they don't talk about Hetmeyer, they'll talk about Veerasammy Permaul. It would appear that a large percentage of Guyanese cricket fans believe that Permaul should be in the West Indies test side. Now, if you're watching this and you haven't yet seen the 17 names that have been called for West Indies test side versus Pakistan, I'm not going to call those names now. All you need to know is that Permaul's not in it. Okay, there's other issues that I could debate, which maybe I'll record another cuss out tomorrow, but I want to focus this one particularly on Veerasammy Permaul. Now, should he be in the West Indies test team? For me, no. So let me get that straight off the bat. There is no place for Veerasammy Permaul in the West Indies test lineup. And when I say test lineup, I mean the first 11. Now, if we start off the principle, I'll explain why. If by now you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you're smashing that like button, you're in the comments, etc., by now you will know that I will dissect this. I'm not just going to speak off emotion. And I want everybody to know as well that as far as I'm concerned, I'm neutral on this. Again, you see the Jamaica flag on that side. You see the Jamaica flag behind me. I have no particular horse in this race. I'm neither pro Veerasammy or anti Veerasammy. I'm just trying to look purely at the stats and the facts and explain why he can't get into the West Indies test side. Although there are reasons to back why people should be angry about it. But right now, as things stand, he can't make the test side. Can he make a West Indies test squad of 17? There's a case for it. But even now, I could tell you right now, for the 17 that have been picked for the Pakistan first test, no. No, I'm not surprised he didn't make it. There's an argument for it, but I'm not surprised he didn't make it. And I do charge to those fans in the region who think he should, I just want them to pause for a second and work out how much of that is based on national sentiment and how much of that is based on cricket logic. And I'm going to try and, in the course of this video, explain why I think that if you're looking at it from a cricket logic point of view, Veerasammy can't make the team. Also, I'm not even sure he can make a squad. And also what I would say to people is, what's the point of putting him in a 17-man squad if he doesn't make the team? So if he got in a 17-man squad, are the people who cuss and say Veerasammy should be in, would you be cussing if he then didn't make the team? Or is getting in the squad enough for you? Make it make some sense for me. But do you know what? To make this have some balance, let me talk about, first and foremost, why Veerasammy is hard done by. Because there is an argument to say he's hard done by, if you look at this properly. So first things first, we have to talk about, obviously, the pandemic. The pandemic came remember our 4-day season, our domestic season got called off in February 2020. Pandemic came, and then we didn't play cricket again until that England tour in July 2020, which was the first cricket globally to really come back at an international level. But before we hit there, so that's the kind of some of the context to play. But there's a deeper context to look at when we look at Veerasammy Permaul. Veerasammy Permaul has been the leading wicket taker in domestic cricket in the 2014-2015 season, the 2017-2018 season, and the 2019-2020 season, which was the curtailed season for the pandemic. In 2018 and 2019, he came second in the wicket columns. He was behind Rakeem Cornwall. I'll get back to that later. In 2016-17, he came third. Top of the charts then was Nikita Miller. Based on those stats and those stats alone, there is an argument to say that given Veerasammy Permaul's consistency at the regional level, he should be in a test squad. However, where I draw the line is that when we picked that 25, 26 man squad that went to England when cricket resumed after once the pandemic had started, Veerasammy Permaul was the top wicket taker in that curtailed season. And when we selected 25, 26 people to go to England, Jamel Warrican was selected as the backup spinner and not Veerasammy Permaul. If you remember, in the main squad, Rakeem Cornwall went as the main spinner. Jamel Warrican went in the reserve squad of about 10 or 11 players. If you remember, they played some kind of like intra-squad games and so on and so forth. Jamel Warrican went as the backup spinner. That I disagreed with at the time. In my mind, Veerasammy Permaul should have gone. Now, there's an argument to say, why should Veerasammy Permaul have gone if he was only going to play the role of a backup spinner, given he was the leading wicket taker in the region? However, he didn't go, and I couldn't understand the logic of it at that time. So if we go in terms of the England squad announcement in the middle of 2020, yes, Veerasammy Permaul should have been part of the wider squad that went. But again, would you have played any test matches? No, he wouldn't. Is there any point in taking a Veerasammy Permaul if he's not going to play any test matches? I would argue maybe there's not. Maybe they thought it made more sense to do long-term investment in Jamel Warrican. I don't know. There is also, for those who want to try and see some justification for why Jamel Warrican went, Jamel Warrican had played more recently for the West Indies than Veerasammy Permaul had. So there is an argument to say, as I said, for the England tour that Veerasammy Permaul should have been there. Even once we get past England tour, so you'll remember we then went to New Zealand. No spinners played in New Zealand. Roston Chase was used as the primary spinner. Rakeem Cornwall went, he didn't even play a test match. So New Zealand we can almost ignore as a where was Veerasammy Permaul because no one played. Once you're using Roston Chase as a frontline spinner, no one else is getting a chance. So we then fast forward to Bangladesh. We go to Bangladesh and 3 spinners are taken. Cornwall again, Warrican again, Permaul. So Permaul goes to Bangladesh, but for the test matches, Warrican and Cornwall get the nod to play in those test matches. Prior to the Sri Lanka series, Permaul is good in the best versus best games, but he doesn't get a call. We persist with Warrican and Cornwall, but only Cornwall plays. Warrican doesn't. Prior to South Africa, Permaul again plays in like the intra-squad best versus best types games, but he isn't called for South Africa. Only Cornwall plays. And again, Warrican doesn't play, but he's part of the squad. Now, it's important in understanding all of this context, okay? Once Veerasammy did not go to England, and obviously he didn't go to New Zealand, so we'll start with Bangladesh. Once he went to Bangladesh with Warrican and Cornwall and Warrican got the nod, whether they should have done or whether they shouldn't have done, they got the nod to play in those test matches. More importantly, not only did they get the nod, both of them played extremely well. Cornwall took 14 wickets, Warrican took 10 wickets. Based off that, there is no way Veerasammy Permaul can then get back into the side. So when Sri Lanka happened, even if he played well in best versus best, why would he leapfrog the incumbents to get into the test squad for Sri Lanka? It doesn't make any sense. There is no rationale for that. And people can say to me, but the best versus best games are used to decide who gets in the team. Yes, if there's a place in the side to be taken. But there was no place. Against Sri Lanka, we just played Cornwall. Warrican didn't play. We rarely play 2 spinners at home. In fact, I set this as homework for everybody watching this. Go and find the last time we played 2 frontline spinners at home in the Caribbean. And one of them can't be Roston Chase because he's not, to me, he's not a frontline spinner. He's somewhere between part-time and frontline, but he's not a frontline spinner. So go and tell me the last time we played 2 frontline spinners in a home test match. So it's no surprise that when we played Sri Lanka, Cornwall played. Warrican didn't even play. When we played South Africa, Cornwall played. Warrican didn't play. Why would Permaul leapfrog over the incumbents? I'll say it again for those who aren't following. He went to Bangladesh as 3 spinners. Cornwall and Warwick got the nod. Whether they should have both got the nod or not is irrelevant to me. The point is they got the nod, and both of them performed. Since then, we've had Sri Lanka at home, South Africa at home. Yes, Veerasammy has played well in the best versus best games, but why should he leapfrog the incumbents when the last time they played together in test matches, they bowled us to victory? Now, since we've been playing the home series, Cornwall has got the nod as the primary spinner, but it's been pace that has really dominated in our home series versus Sri Lanka and versus South Africa. So even Cornwall's not really getting much purchase as it is, so much so that in the second test versus South Africa, he carried water. There was no place for him in the test side. And there's an argument to say versus Pakistan. I don't think Cornwall's going to get in the side versus Pakistan. So even when people are saying to me, where's Permaul? Why is he not in the 17? To do what? To be a net bowler? Because I don't even see a spinner playing versus Pakistan. Certainly not in the first test match. I see Roston Chase being given the frontline spin duties, actually. I'll be surprised if I even see Cornwall's name in the test in the test squad. So I sometimes think when people talk about Veerasammy Permaul, they rightly point to what he's done domestically. Yes, based on what he's done domestically, he should be there or thereabouts. But does that mean he'll get into a starting 11? No, it doesn't. And if we're going to be logical, everyone should know that. Take away national bias out of the situation. There's no place for him. And whether you think he's a better bowler than Warwick, and I actually think he is a better bowler than Warwick, but Warwick has performed in international cricket. So why would Veerasammy leapfrog over him? Now, what's not Veerasammy's fault is that we don't have any domestic cricket. We only have these best versus best games that happen in camp. So people are looking at that and rushing to that and going, yeah, he's performed there. But again, why would he leapfrog the incumbent? It's the same reason when I did the last cuss out, when I was saying, why would Shamar Brooks leapfrog Nkrumah Bonner? Bonner hasn't done anything to be dropped. So why would Brooks step over him into the team? It doesn't matter what he's done in best versus best. Bonner's not getting dropped. That wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. You can perform in warm-up games, but the incumbent has to underperform for you to pass them, if that makes any sense. Now, like I say, what I would say, and I'm this time now go back again and try and defend Veerasammy. If Veerasammy is being, and I hope he's not, but if he's being judged based on his test record thus far, that's unfair. Because he hasn't played test matches for West Indies since 2015. That's 6 years. I personally believe he's a much better bowler than 6 years ago. I think he would argue he's a much better bowler than 6 years ago. So when people talk to me about his test record, that's irrelevant. That argument's irrelevant. I don't care what he's done in his test record. That was so long ago, he can come again. So he does deserve a chance at some point in time, but he's got to wait for an incumbent to fail. Similarly, if I was Veerasammy Permaul, I'd be looking at the last, until Cornwall came on the scene at home versus India, I would be looking at the gap between the last time Veerasammy played, which was 2015, up to the home series versus India 2019 when Cornwall got his debut. In that 4-year gap, the leading spinner for the West Indies was Bishu. Was Bishu up to scratch? No, not for me. 117 test match wickets at 37. No, sorry, that's not good enough. Not for me. Not for my frontline spinner. And then what we saw until Cornwall debuted is that Roston, such was, I guess, selectors' unhappiness with Bishu's output, that Roston Chase somehow became our frontline spinner. That should never have been allowed to happen, by the way. Yes, it balanced out the side, but that should never have been allowed to happen. So Roston, in Veerasammy's defense, he's had to watch over the last 6 years Bishu not bowl brilliantly at the international level or sporadically very good, and then Roston Chase be seen as the frontline spinners. At some point between 2015 and 2019, Permaul should have got a go again. Hear what I said there. That's me backing him. At some point between 2015 and 2019, he should have got a go again, but he didn't. Now, those who then say to me, but his record, you also have to remember that whilst Veerasammy was dominating at the regional level, so was Rakeem Cornwall. So when Rakeem Cornwall got the nod in 2019, that was also a deserved nod, because In 2018, 2019, Veerasammy Permaul was the second highest wicket taker in the region. Guess who topped the wicket taking? Rakeem Cornwall. In every year that Veerasammy Permaul has topped it or not topped it, Rakeem Cornwall's been there. And then what was Rakeem Cornwall doing? Taking wickets at West Indies A level as well. So when the time came to bring in a spinner, it was Rakeem Cornwall's time. Rightly or wrongly, it was Rakeem Cornwall's time because he was matching what Veerasammy was doing. Even if I go back to that England tour, 2020, when Veerasammy somehow didn't get in the 25, 26-man squad, Rakeem Cornwall got taken as a premier spinner. Let me explain why. 2018, 2019, he took the most wickets in the region. 2019, 2020, Veerasammy, the curtailed season, Veerasammy took the most wickets. He took 50 wickets. Veerasammy took 50 wickets in the 8 matches. Rakeem Cornwall only played 5 games in that curtailed season, and he took 30 wickets. So I think for the selectors, and remember, Rakeem Cornwall was playing constant 18 cricket for West Indies and doing well with bat and ball. So I don't blame the selectors that they took Rakeem as the frontline spinner over Permaul, because he was matching what Permaul was doing at the regional level, but crucially also doing it at A level. A level, doing sorry, it's A level results day today. But he was also doing it for West Indies A. So Rakeem got taken on merit. That wasn't an undeserved pick or Permaul was getting overlooked there. It makes sense why Rakeem went to England as the premier spinner. But I do agree that Veerasammy should have gone instead of Warrican as the backup spinner. But as I've argued in the rest of this video, since then, there's been no place for Veerasammy to leapfrog the incumbents, which are Cornwall and Warrican. At some point in the future, because Veerasammy Permaul's only 31 years old, he's still got plenty of time. And I do hope he doesn't become another Nikita Miller who dominates at regional level, but by the time the career's over, like, so why didn't he play more test cricket or international cricket? When the pandemic is under control in the Caribbean across all islands and we can have another 4-day season, Veerasammy will be near the top of the charts, if not the top wicket taker. And I would like to see Veerasammy then get his chance at some point in time. So if we get another 4-day season, here's how Veerasammy makes my team. We get another 4-day season. He dominates again because that's what he does. Okay, he'll take his wickets at 21 runs or less on average because that's what he does in domestic cricket. Although I haven't even mentioned it, but slight mention, that says a lot about our batsmen, by the way. Anyways, he'll dominate at domestic level. He should, in theory, out-bowl Jamel Warrican. So if all things being right, Jamel Warrican and Veerasammy Permaul play a 4-day season, right? Let's hope this happens early 2022. Let's hope, pandemic-wise, we're allowed to get one. Permaul out-bowls Warrican. Cornwall is already the #1 spinner. That would then mean that the next time we go to Asia to play cricket, red ball cricket, because I think we're supposed to play Sri Lanka at some point, I would expect, and Pakistan, in fact, or maybe I've got that wrong. But anyways, I would expect to see Permaul, Warrican, or whoever, Permaul, Warrican, and Cornwall go again. But if Permaul had out-bowled Warrican domestically heading into that tour across 8 to 10 games, whatever it might be, I would then expect to see Permaul play with Cornwall in a test series, probably in Asia. But if you're asking for Veerasammy Permaul to get in a test squad at home and play, it's not happening. It's not happening anytime soon unless there are injuries. And even if Rakeem Cornwall got injured, Roston Chase would probably play instead. I'm not saying that's right. I'm saying that's what's likely to happen, because we will never play 2 frontline spinners at home in the West Indies. I'm saying, I don't know why I said never, but it is very unlikely. There's no conspiracy against Veerasammy Permaul. Okay, I'm not buying it. For all those people who keep going, oh, where is he? Where is he? There's no conspiracy. Right now, he can't get in the team. And if you followed what I've said, there's a clear logic to why he can't get in the team currently. Should he always not get in the team? Of course not. There should be a place at some point in the future. But until we get our domestic cricket back, do not be surprised if Veerasammy does not play Test match cricket for the West Indies in the West Indies. His best chance is getting domestic cricket back, and then we go to Asia, and then he might get his chance. And you see, when he gets his chance, he better bowl well, because at that point, he becomes the incumbent. That's been Rum Shot Diaries cuss out sessions for today. For those of you who've been following along, there's a playlist to watch all the cuss outs that I've done. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. You see on the screen, it says follow us on Twitter, Instagram, at Carib Cricket. You know, we're just trying to do our thing and get Caribbean cricket news out there for all the people that still love West Indies cricket. But that's been today's cuss out. Tune in. There'll be some more coming up during the course of this week. Peace.